Hello, everyone. I am your host, Shweta Dubey. I welcome you with bottom of my heart to Atlanta Dunia videocast Parikrama. We often talk about education. We all are related to books, small, little, big, thick, all sizes, all kind of book ever since we are born. It has become a very important part of our life. Today, we are here to talk about books. Yes, you are right. We are talking about books, but you will figure it out just in a second. What type of books we are talking about? I'm going to welcome a person, a great person whose relation with education is such a long time. We always say how education separates us humans with any other creature on the earth, planet Earth. And she can, come and talk about it and make my point even stronger. So I am going to welcome Uma Majumdar ji. Namaste, Uma ji.
Namaste, namaste.
Namaste, Uma ji. So can you please introduce yourself to our audience, our viewers? Tell us about yourself.
Oh, thank you. I come from Gandhi country. And by that, what I mean, I come from the city of Ahmedabad, Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. And all through my childhood and my school and college, I had been educated in Ahmedabad. And I come from a family who puts great emphasis on education. Not only that, but since I was a child, my dad, my father, he sowed the seeds of learning, researching, and reading very heavy books on philosophy, on Tattva Gyan, on Vivekanand, on Ramakrishna, Mahatma Gandhi. And I lost my mom very early in life. So my aunt, who was my father's sister, she raised me. And she was a pure Gandhian. She wore khadi clothes, you know. She actually spun khadi at home. So you can understand that I was heavily influenced on one side by my father's learning and passion for learning.
Very nice.
And
Very nice, Umaji. I see that you belong to Ahmedabad. I see that you talk about Gandhi ji. You probably were exposed to this when
yeah,
you were very young. I
yes,
see you moved to USA in 1967, if
correct,
I'm correct.
correct.
So tell us, we are here to talk about, as I was telling in the beginning, we're here talking about education and books. Who can be better person than you to talk about education and books? I see you have studied or you have written books. Umaji, tell us a little bit about your professional, your academic background, please.
Sure. Uh, so, love of literature, that was his passion, my dad's passion, and he instilled that love in me. So I pursued first BA with English major, then master's with English. And after my master's from Gujarat University, I started teaching at Balabhai Damodar Das, which is called BD, Arts and Science College in Ahmedabad. I was teaching English language, English grammar, and English literature, Shelley and Keats and poets and romantic poets. So, and anywhere, anytime, if somebody calls me at home, I would be somewhere way away in a corner, engrossed in reading books. And everybody was so, annoyed that this girl doesn't do any work, doesn't help in the kitchen, doesn't do anything. Read, 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 read. So the reading bug beat me very early in life. But now this is very funny. What kind of books? Of course, when you are young, you read romantic novels. So I was at it. And on the other hand, my father will bring home from library heavy, heavy books, tomes of books. And I used to tease him, Dad, why are you reading such heavy, dull books? And he said, Beta, when you grow up, you will come to understand that philosophy is the real thing in life. And he also instilled in me a deep love for spiritual, ethical, moral kind of books, including Paramahamsa Krishna, Vivekananda, Gandhi. So from the beginning, I have this interest, you can call it passion, for biographies, particularly spiritual biographies. So that was my major interest. So after coming to United States with my husband, who just came as a pathologist, physician, and we first came to Boston in 67. I had my little baby, 18 months old that time. So three of us came to Boston, and you would not believe which city. I mean, we were not actually in Boston, Salem, Massachusetts, which is called Witch's Town. Anyway, now what do I do with all that education? I was missing my teaching. So I applied to the Salem College, and they turned me down. They said, no, your qualifications, you would have to renew them. You would have to do something here. So I joined, you know, higher education journalism after coming to Atlanta. And I also have a degree in journalism.
Very nice. Very
Yes,
nice. Umaji, I see you started your first relationship with the books, and now that you reach USA and now you are a mother of a child yourself is a mother now.
not
And
much.
your journey didn't stop. Your journey only begins from there. And then
Yes,
what a relationship with the books and education you have. Umaji, tell us, I see that you've been fascinated reading books from your childhood. Tell us a little bit about your book that you wrote. What was, I think it was co-centered on Gandhiji, I believe.
yes. My first book I'm showing here. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
See, this is the title of my book that I wrote in 2005. And it's titled Gandhi's Pilgrimage of Faith. What it is, it's a very, I should not brag about it, but the reviews say this is the first book which analyzes the stages of Gandhi's spiritual development. So I had as my professor and as my PhD advisor, Dr. James Fowler. He wrote a book which is extremely famous all around the country. Unfortunately, my mentor, my advisor, passed away a few years ago, but he wrote a book called Stages of Faith Development. And I was a student, so I asked him if anybody has applied these stages to Gandhiji, because I wanted to connect my Indianness with my American experience. So he said, no, nobody has yet done it. So why don't I? So I took up the bait, and there are 6 stages of faith. The highest stage belongs to Mahatma Gandhi. So that was my first book. It's very well received, although I should say it's very theoretical. As against this second book, which is anytime due now. I was just jumping up with joy and I saw the mailman with a huge box. But you know what it turned out to be? It was not a box of books. It was box of some cans of soup that I had ordered. Anyway, but now book is due either today, tomorrow, anytime. And that's the book I would like to talk about more.
That's right, Umaji. That's the reason we are here today to talk about your new baby, your
Yes,
new book on Gandhiji.
that's
I see that you're inspired, and you have all this. You have already written once, and you're now writing it again. Now, the little girl who was reading a book, now she's writing a book. What a journey you have! Now, Umaji, I do want to ask you, why did you pick the Gandhiji subject? Why? What inspired you and motivated to pick that topic?
as I said first in my childhood. I saw my aunt. That time, it was the height of Indian independence movement. So you can imagine I'm an ancient person. uh, and that time, so all around me, the environment was about Hindustan Jindabad, Gandhi Jindabad, um, Azadi Leke Rahenge, and Quit India movement. All that as a child I have seen. And from early on, I am deeply into spiritual studies and ethical, moral, philosophical books due to influence of my father. Anyway, but my particular interest in Gandhiji was because of one book with which I started, and that was Gandhiji's autobiography. It is called My Experiments with Truth. So that had a profound influence on me. And uh, the second was my reason to focus on Gandhi because you know why? That is this second book is all about. I am arguing that Gandhiji is one of such highly regarded, revered persons around the world who influenced countless people, British, Indian, American, you name all. But then who influenced Gandhiji? Who were the people from whom Gandhiji derived inspiration? And as I studied it, and of course, the Gandhiji clearly says in his autobiography, which is here, and I may not find the book, but he counts three people who influenced him heavily, profoundly. One was Leo Tolstoy, of a Russian writer, one who also wrote Anna Karenina. But Gandhiji's interest was in philosophical writing. So Leo Tolstoy, his book, Kingdom of Heaven is Within You. So that profoundly influenced Gandhi. Second was John Ruskin, and he was a Britisher. He wrote Unto This Last, which Gandhiji translated later on as Sarvodaya. But the third one, and he was the winner. Who was the third one? His name, Gujarati name, was Raichand Bhai or Srimad Rajchandra. Now, let me tell you, give you a very brief background about Rajchandra, how they met, and what was about Rajchandra that made a deep, lasting influence. Okay, Rajchandra, you can believe, was a child prodigy. He was also a Shatabdhani who could attend to 100 things at a time and remember and quote verbatim. Okay, so he was also very, uh, he was an expert in multitasking, what we call. So Gandhiji, when he returned from London after being a barrister, he stayed with Rajchandra in what is now called Mani Bhavan, Mani Bhavan in Mumbai. So
Right.
he met his Rajchandra was a great poet also. But none of these things, Gandhiji said, well, I'm impressed, but I'm not inspired. So what cast a spell? These are Gandhiji's words. What cast a spell on Gandhi about Rajchandra? And that is what I read from, uh, if I get the paper in front of me.
Right, right,
Yes,
Umaji. When I was asking
yes,
you who inspired you, I
yeah.
already knew the answer, kind of, that you belong to Ahmedabad. Your childhood belonged from there, and I kind of knew that. But you opened a whole new treasure box, and I'm amazed that you belong to that era, which our next generation will only find on Google and only find on internet. You are a treasure to many more, and I'm very, very impressed. I'm amazed to know what you have seen, what you have learned, what you have read in those books. And today, I'm so very thankful that you're writing these books, and we can have some string to hold on to it, to those knowledge, those treasure that you hold. Now, Umaji, the question that it came in my mind, that nobody just wakes up in the morning and start writing a book. It takes a lot of effort. It's a long process. So tell me, how long did it take for you to prepare for this process and writing, and then finishing the books? It's not
Oh,
just a juggling words, and using fancy words. Writing book is a big task. So tell us about it.
oh dear. It's just like labor of love. Okay. First, I had the passion for reading. And believe me, as a child in school, my essays were being quoted and passed on. So that also comes from my dad. So writing also side by side was a passion for me. And particularly literary writing, imaginative writing. So that was another reason that I wanted to start, writing something of my own. And, writing is not easy. Who said that? Of course, I love to write, but I don't love to actually go through the process of writing. I like written book, not myself writing and laboring day in and day out. But believe me, my journey, although it was long, it was extremely fulfilling because every day, and I'm a disciplined person, I set aside 3 hours in the morning to write. And even if it's one word, sometimes one page. So my journey, my first book took me 3 years to write, not to count research. This book totally took 7 years, and I should begin with 2015 when I went to Ahmedabad. I met the biggest Jain follower of Rajchandra. His name is Gurudev Rakesh Bhai Jhaveri. He has an ashram in Ahmedabad, not Ahmedabad, Dharampur, near Valsad, near Bombay. So I stayed in that place 3 days. And I talked about my idea of studying Rajchandra who made just a tremendous influence on Gandhi. So he helped me providing the books, and most of my material came from Gujarati books as well as English books. Now, let me point out one very important issue why I wrote this book. Why Rajchandra? Because only one book in English on Rajchandra and Gandhi. And I studied that book. And it was wonderful. I'm not criticizing. But I thought it's too above the head of most of the people. It's very scholarly book. And I take pride in being scholar as well as a readable author. So for ordinary people anywhere in the world, one should write in such a way that one of my professors, I'm quoting him, he said, it should be written in such simple language and effortless as if that even your uneducated mother can like to read. And on the other hand, it should also be considered very respectable by scholars. So it was hard to combine these two qualities. But I think I took up the challenge. I love to take up challenges, regardless of age or whatever. And so I ventured, and it took me 7 years counting, not counting research.
Right, right, right. Umaji, I know I feel so much respect for you, and I am more than happy to be able to talk to you. मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी का नाम सुना है, उनके बारे में पढ़ा है, लेकिन I'm looking forward to this book. So can you please tell our viewers a little bit about your new book? Tell us the name and where it's being published and when it's coming out. I think I remember you told me August 31st.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
And
tell us a little bit about that new book.
yes, please, thank you. It's my joy and my honor to talk about it. So I just spoke about why Rajchandra, because uh, in Gandhiji's own estimate, he was the most influential person. Why? Because according to Gandhiji, he molded his character, his inner world. They were both passionately in love with truth, with self realization. And that spiritual hunger connected them. And Gandhiji and Rajchandraji were not too much apart in age. He was only 2 years older than Gandhi. So when Gandhiji returned from London, he stayed with Rajchandra, observed his every move. And you know what is most fascinating? That Rajchandraji was a businessman, a pakka jhaveri, diamond dealer. And at the same time, he was deeply interested in everything that takes you toward moksha, moksha or self-liberation. So that is why I decided to write about Rajchandra. The title of my book is not with me right now. It is Gandhi and Rajchandra, same person as Rajchand Bhai. The subtitle, The Making of the Mahatma. So the whole book is about Rajchandra, who I claim transformed Mohandas Gandhi into Mahatma Gandhi. How? The whole book to know how that happened, the whole journey of spiritual transformation. You have to read the book. You have to read the book. And
Yes, we are looking forward to read the book, Umaji. Tell us who is publishing this book and when it's coming out. Is it August 31st?
August 31st by Lexington Books, which is an imprint of Rome and Littlefield. So it's a very scholarly type of publisher. They select special subjects and it's very respected publishing company, Lexington Books. And when I sent them my proposal last year, they immediately fell in love with it. And they said, we are just inviting your book and send us your chapters. So I first sent the proposal, then my chapters, which are total 14 chapters, with uh, the notes and with index. So anyone who wants to find out what was exactly the influence, that is very important because Gandhiji believed in non-violence, right? Satyagraha is based on three pillars of morality. One is truth, second, non-violence, third, suffering for truth, which is satyagraha. And I'm saying, arguing that the seeds of satyagraha were planted in Gandhiji by Srimad Rajchandra because he was the person, he was married to non-violence, although he was married himself and he attended to his business. But the moment his business and his clients are gone, he would be deep into his philosophical sadhana. And this is what Gandhiji said, and I'm reading. What cast a spell over me was his wide knowledge of the scriptures, his spotless character, and, very important, his burning passion for truth and for self realization. So it was a chemistry. It was a, both were seekers after truth. Both were immensely committed to truth and truthfulness, not only in word, truth as in manasa, vacha, karmana, by speech, by thought, and in action. So, and the higher truth. And Gandhiji wrote in his autobiography that I am 100%, these are my words, I am paraphrasing, that I believe in truth only. My God is my truth, and truth is God. But until I am able to reach that higher truth, I have to focus on relative truth. And that's why Gandhiji took part in politics. Many people misunderstand that he was a politician. The whole Western world thinks of him as a political leader, but he was the one who was a rare person who looked upon politics as service to God, service of people, and to make them free. So, this is the non violent connection between Rajchandra and Gandhi.
Gee, Umaji, I feel like I need to keep listening, and I'm already engaged to the book. And I'm sure, the research you have put behind writing this book and the time, the knowledge that you have used, it's all going to put together, and we all can utilize that knowledge through your book. I'm looking forward to read this book, and I'm sure it will gain a lot of other viewers' attention to this book, towards this book too. Umaji, I congratulate you first of all
Thank you.
for such a great achievement, and then I wish you all the best from Atlanta Dunia team. And this will be a great addition to us and our upcoming generation, I'm sure. And thank you so much for giving us a time. And thank you so much for sharing all these great words, what you just said, great lines you read for us. So I'm really, really thankful to you with the bottom of our heart. And our whole team congratulates you and good luck to you.
And may I make one request?
Please do.
Whoever, whoever is listening, please, anybody feels inspired to write a review, I'll very much appreciate it. If you are interested in writing, reading first, and if you feel inspired, if you like it, please put a review on Amazon.com or wherever. I would deeply appreciate. And thanks for this opportunity. I,
Thank you, Maji.
I feel honored and privileged. Thank you. Thank you.